Mr. Trump went through the boxes himself. That is one of the legally devastating lines in a New York Times breaking news report tonight under the headline, "Trump had more than 300 classified documents at Mar-a-Lago." Donald Trump's life gets worse every day. And tonight, his life got much worse with the revelation in the New York Times that Donald Trump himself went through all of the boxes of documents that he was illegally possessing and concealing at his Florida home. And this is the kind of reporting that indicates that Donald Trump's legal life is going to get much, much worse as this story keeps moving forward. A team of 4 investigative reporters for the New York Times report that the government has retrieved more than 300 classified documents from Donald Trump's Florida home in 3 different retrievals from Mar-a-Lago, including the 3rd and final retrieval, which was executed by the FBI with a search warrant issued by a judge who said today that he issued that search warrant because he found, quote, probable cause that evidence of multiple federal crimes would be found at the premises. The Times reports, quote, the initial batch of documents retrieved by the National Archives from former President Donald J. Trump in January included more than 150 marked as classified, a number that ignited intense concern at the Justice Department and helped trigger the criminal investigation that led FBI agents to swoop into Mar-a-Lago this month, seeking to recover more. Multiple people briefed on the matter said. But before anyone from the federal government went to Mar-a-Lago in search of documents, the Times reports Mr. Trump went through the boxes himself in late 2021, according to multiple people briefed on his efforts before turning them over. So the Times is reporting that multiple people, multiple witnesses know that Donald Trump went through the boxes of classified material himself last year. And obviously, Donald Trump decided to keep those boxes. Last week, we learned that when the lawyers for Donald Trump tried to get him to return that material, he delivered the now famous line, "It's not theirs, it's mine." The 2 lawyers who Donald Trump had made his official representatives on this matter were former White House counsel Pat Cipollone and former White House deputy counsel Patrick Philbin. This year, Donald Trump removed them as his official representatives in dealing with the National Archives. And perhaps then, there may have been no one telling Donald Trump that he had to comply with the law. After the first batch of 150 documents marked as classified were removed from Donald Trump's Florida home in January, federal prosecutors and FBI agents visited Donald Trump's home in June, when, according to the New York Times reporting tonight, aides to Mr. Trump turned over a few dozen additional sensitive documents during a visit to Mar-a-Lago by Justice Department officials in early June. The 2 Trump lawyers who dealt with the Justice Department investigators who went to Mar-a-Lago in June are potentially tonight in very serious legal trouble of their own, based on the breaking news reporting in the New York Times tonight, which describes false assurances that those 2 lawyers provided to the Justice Department in writing. The Times reports on June 3rd, Jay Bratt, the chief of the counter-espionage section of the National Security Division of the Justice Department, went to Mar-a-Lago to meet with 2 of Mr. Trump's lawyers, Evan Corcoran and Christina Bobb, and retrieve any remaining classified material to satisfy the subpoena. Mr. Corcoran went through the boxes himself to identify classified material beforehand, according to 2 people familiar with his efforts. Mr. Corcoran showed Mr. Bratt the basement storage room where he said the remaining material had been kept. Mr. Trump briefly came to see the investigators during the visit. Mr. Bratt and the agents who joined him were given a sheaf of classified material, according to two people familiar with the meeting. Mr. Corcoran then drafted a statement, which Ms. Bobb, who is said to be the custodian of the documents, signed. It asserted that, to the best of her knowledge, all classified material that was there had been returned, according to two people familiar with the statement. The statement wasn't true. It was not true. Christina Bobb signed her name to it, and Evan Corcoran wrote it. Evan Corcoran drafted a statement that was not true. And Christina Bobb signed the untrue statement in an official written communication with the Justice Department, where it is a crime to lie to the FBI. The Times goes on to explain why the investigation didn't end there. Justice Department officials had just visited Mar-a-Lago themselves. They'd been assured in writing by the Trump lawyers with that document signed by Christina Bobb that the Justice Department was now in possession of all of the classified documents that were there. But here's what happened next. Soon after that visit, investigators who were interviewing several people in Mr. Trump's circle about the documents came to believe that there were other presidential records that had not been turned over, according to the people familiar with the matter. On June 22nd, the Justice Department subpoenaed the Trump Organization for Mar-a-Lago's security footage. It revealed people moving boxes in and out, and in some cases appearing to change the containers some documents were held in. Every one of those people in those videos about moving those boxes is going to be questioned under oath by the Justice Department about exactly what they were doing with those boxes. But that video seems to have played a strong role in convincing the Justice Department and Attorney General Merrick Garland that they would need a search warrant to get more classified material from Donald Trump's home. And when the FBI completed the search that the search warrant allowed them to conduct on August 8th, the New York Times reports, officials left with 26 boxes, including 11 sets of material marked as classified, comprising scores of additional documents. One set had the highest level of classification, top secret, sensitive, compartmented information. Donald Trump, the Times reports, went through the boxes himself at the end of last year, withheld that information when the first batch of documents was returned to the National Archives in January, and Donald Trump continued to withhold that information when another batch of documents was handed over to the Justice Department in June. And when the FBI showed up with a search warrant in August, Donald Trump was still holding on to 11 sets of material marked as classified, comprising scores of additional documents. One set had the highest level of classification, top secret, sensitive, compartmented information. That's what Donald Trump was holding on to when the FBI arrived at his home. The Times reports the FBI agents who conducted the search found the additional documents in the storage area in the basement of Mar-a-Lago, as well as in a container in a closet in Mr. Trump's office, the people said.